What's good, everybody? You rock with your boys, Czar, all rights reserved, CommenterNation, greatest nation since United Nations, stand up. We got to conversate about something. There's something that I've read that bothers me. Part of what I'm starting to read has a lot to do with different situations that I can't go into detail at this, but I will break it down the best I can as I'm going through it, as I'm reading, as I'm learning. And I'm going to briefly go into this. Here's my thing. There seems to be a situation where if you take the time to take a look, that there was activities after Tentacion was gone. But that's behind the point. I have audio and conversations I'm going through, and it's multiple audio. Like it's a plethora of audio, okay? And in this conversation between the people that are talking, it seems that they're describing exactly how to use different forms of magic. And that's why I spoke with someone behind the scenes, because they said, look, check this out. You looked at something and you mentioned something, and I think you need to hear this. I listened to it. And upon me listening to it, I began to understand exactly what's happening. What's crazy with this situation and what's happening is that it's literally someone using their knowledge and understanding of different words, different scenarios, different situations to explain a scenario on how to get out of prison, I guess. And they're telling them what to use. And in the conversation, there were some other disturbing things, but the most disturbing was the fact that someone was giving out the information on how exactly this person's going to go about doing this incantation. So let's say it's an incantation, because that's how that works. Now, it's not only the incantation, there's other informations I have on celebrity related parties. Now, did someone's affiliation with throwing celebrity related parties allow them to get to a standard where they felt powerful? These celebrity parties, if I might add, it makes a lot of sense to other things people were making claims on. So it's starting to make sense with how these people were deriving exactly how their behaviors are linked up and what these behaviors were subject to and how they were enacting on it. Let me make this a little bit clearer. The audio and things I have, you're never going to find, because again, I told you, I have agents on the job, and the way these agents move, you're never going to find this audio. Perhaps I could say this: for this audio to come out in some way, shape, or form, I don't think your major magazines or anyone has these type of connects. That's what I'm grateful for. I'm thankful for. And being able to link up with them, I was able to work myself into this position. It's deep. It gets deep, y'all. And it's to the point where that it seemed like someone was playing host. And when you're playing host, you feel like you gain inside connections when you're just being used for the type of, let's say, assets you can provide. Now, the danger with this is that within looking into these assets, I'm starting to find minors. I'm starting to find minors that were introduced as an asset and being used for the accrual of uh, completion to certain situations. So let's say that some of your daughters, if you have daughters, were going to parties and things just to hang out with celebs, but they were being really introduced into a certain environment where they're going to become get a bit deeper. Along with my understanding of this audio I listened to, that is about 11 to 12 minutes, I also found out that incantations and attempts at magician type moves was very adherent. Let alone, I'm starting to understand who and what actually was happening with the claims that were placed on Tentacion. So the people around that were placing claims on his character, it's beginning to make sense. And I'm now understanding why they wouldn't come forward without them interacting at all. That's how it works. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm crazed. So imagine how he felt looking at it from the inside out. Like, what's going on? This is a very, let's say, demeaning situation I'm beginning to find people in. It is not good what I'm seeing, and I do not like what I'm actually beginning to check out dealing with these personas interacting when I know it's so negative. The negativity is building a picture on actually who was a threat and who was not. It's also beginning to open up to me exactly where the motivation was going towards. I can't release all of this, but I told you, even if I'm far off base, I'm always aiming for the right direction. So I may have the right target, but sometimes the information may not be exactly true. That's why we say objective. But in this, off of what I heard and what I'm beginning to understand, is starting to play into the variables that are missing between my understanding on the event that occurred. This is all everything to do with bad character, um, people taking advantage of situations, people in danger, dangerous situations becoming the norm for certain people's lifestyles all around them. This is not a play off words. This is a play off of viability, sustainability, character, critics. Everything's beginning to spiral, and that's why some people say it's too deep. The rabbit hole goes deep. I now understand what the rabbit hole is. My question is, was that worth it to violate so many human lives in order to achieve what it is that you believe in? Because it was some type of achievement they were pushing for, but I just don't think it was worth the opportunity, the chance that a lot of people took. I mean, let's be real. You think they're not going to find out or already know about this? Being what I was sent, I know they do. Being from the entity that sent it, I know they're well aware. The thing is, I want to know how many people are going to pay the price for it. How many people are going to go down for this one situation because someone else wanted to interact with a lot of different people as well as us just to prove a point. So just to prove a point, they open themselves up, which makes them a liability being a host for these type of activities. When I'm finding minor after minor, looking through like, well, how old was this person and stuff? It gets a shady area. It becomes very shady. It's beginning to make sense why certain people were reacting, why they're reacting. It just seems to be getting darker and darker when I sample snippets. I know this has never been public. I know these audios never been public. This stuff is deep. It gets deep because my thing is a lot of people don't know your conversations like that. They can come to light. You can't hide conversations, whether it's text, whether it's call. You can't hide that. That's always going to come out. And when it gets used against someone in a lawful setting, you can't avoid that. With your number, your location, you can't avoid that. If you ever had that number and you spoke on it, then that can be objectified to a situation. That's point blank bottom line. That's what people get. And I saw how people were moving. And to me, it opened up a lot of situations and scenarios that I'm going to look deeper into. I'm going to figure out exactly what's going on. I have the light synopsis, but I'm going to get deeper into it. It seems that we always had a point to prove, but the problem was that very few people were listening when they should have. There's so many hands at work in this. It's like a hidden hand scenario. There's so many people that are aiming for the destruction of this young man in this scenario. It's insane. It's to the point where it's like, what were you trying to prove? Now, I will give this to the person that he was speaking to. You didn't really want to tell him. You didn't really want to teach him. You were trying to back off. I realized that. You really were trying to back off. You didn't want to delay anything any longer. You just want to tell them, nah, But because you were a good friend, you ended up telling them. And that's the scary part, because it lets me know that what are people involved in? What are people actually involved in? How far do you think this behavior is going to get you if it's not off of your own strength to work hard? A lot of people like taking the easy route, and I notice that now to a degree of fault. But what's even more important that I've been able to figure out is that these situations were going on all along. There was always a dangerous situation going on with these characters at work. And that's beginning to paint the picture itself. I don't have to do too much anymore. So my thing is, when I was doing the conversation about the different type of parties that would go on and stuff that was happening, was there things left out at the fact that there were certain celebs that may have been back in the room? There were certain people of respect that were involved, but they weren't doing respectful things at that time. These are the things that we have to narrate and understand before we cast any type of judgment of knowledge of knowing something on someone. But the whole fact of the matter of this being an alleged occurrence, that's known now. We now get it. And I know exactly why. I know what was happening in hidden rooms. It makes sense. It makes sense. That all goes with everything's conditional. And when it's conditional, there are situations that can occur, as we've seen happen to X. He may have been put into a conditional position without even knowing it, because that's the way these secret situations work. And that's what's crazy. And that's the most disheartening thing, that somebody who claims to be a friend will put you in this situation off of what they can gain from it. And what they gained was much of nothing. And then I'm starting to see that the plans that they gained didn't even fall through in the way that they thought it would. That's the most hilarious thing that I've seen. It's like, what you do it for? It's like, who was really behind you from the jump? Guys, this is not playtime at all. It's not a time to play around with information and things. We are just looking at exactly what is happening before our eyes, and we've seen an outcome we didn't accept, and it's beginning to connect in different, more cinematic ways than we ever wanted it to. You know, I also have received a video, now this is all alleged, of someone recording someone at the time that was a minor doing certain things. If that pans out, that is terrible. That is straight feds moves. That's not that's not the move. And it's really going to be what was it worth. And that's the type of things we talk about: corrupting minors, inviting minors, involving minors. Those type of actions cannot be acceptable. Just because a girl's 17 doesn't mean you can still invite her in your mid 20s, early 20s, and they're not legal. That's not going to fly, especially if it was against their will. And we find out that the harm that occurred to certain individuals was synonymous with this situation. That's the thing. A lot of guys like to threaten minors, joke about threatening minors, do different things with minors. We have all of that. And my thing is, what was it worth? And you can't say it's joking. When you say something, you can't say it's a joke. No, oh, I didn't mean it. Doesn't matter. You said it. And that's the problem with guys playing alpha male when they're not. Because what you do is you show what your intentions are, what your capabilities are, especially if you have things tagged to you that are felonious. You will go down. There is a spot with bars for a person that has threats, hatred towards a minor, does not respect the kids. And that's through the God we know. That's through the God up above. There is a place for you. And it's not out here. Trust me. That's the thing. And we have every bit of it in multiple situations with the intentions tagged to it. You will pay for it. I don't care what you are talking about. You will face the music for it. If we find one of these minor situations I spoke on, you were adherently related to it. Doesn't matter if you think you moved on. Your career was not a $10 million career. period. Some of you don't even have careers. Some of you never even worked a job in years, if at all. Are you serious? And you're a productive member to society that needs to keep its freedom. When you act behind and under the law in this way, involving someone's children. Are you serious? We're supposed to pat you on the back and let you go free? You're going to do your dirt and be okay because you make phone calls to other men and other people and think you get away with it. You're just the type of people we're looking for. Because they want to arrest people for other things, but they're not arresting you. Get that out of here. It's a different age. You will stand for the crimes you commit, the threats you make, the things you do that are not lawful, that you play lawful with. You play with people's lives. You think this is a game. You do incantations to get what you want and think there's no repercussions. It's a new time. It's a new era. Now I'm aligning these audios and I'm starting to see a broader picture, and it's really spelling out who may have been involved and who was trying to assist. It really is starting to make me understand why certain people are literally within that situation and were placed in there, and people were preying on them, trying to use them for a come up. I see it. And the thing at the end of the day is, your come up is going to be a different come up than you ever thought it would be. What you get out of what you did is not going to be what you aim for. And the incantations you did speak so of it. Trust me. Trust me. It speaks so of it, and it is the derivative of the outcome you misreading in that book. And I told you, and I told you again and again. And that's the thing. Frequencies, different things. I don't have nothing against that, y'all. I don't have nothing against it. But I will say this. When it gets down to someone doing dark incantations to subdue or destroy others in the midst of boosting themselves, you are aligning yourself with the force of destruction. Wouldn't be. That's all there is. That's all there is. And if you don't understand it now, you're not going to. That is why we are not taking no chances with it. I'm not chancing for you to wise up and be like, oh, I shouldn't have did that. I can't. Someone's gone. Multiple people gone. Even people gone that allegedly was never seen after the situations that I'm reading and hearing about. What about them? Where was their chance? Where was their chance at seeing a light again? You didn't care. So we're supposed to care about you. This gets deep, guys. And here's the thing. I want to say this because this is what's most important. We also know there's people that are fleeing, even the country, to dodge certain situations. What did I ran down a synopsis of exactly how law goes after you. You don't realize that you're just leading them to people. Didn't I tell people who aren't involved to get away from these people you're doing business with? They're leading them directly to you. Because what they're doing is thinking they're escaping their situation, but they're just taking trace to another situation. It's like if I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing and I get tracked doing it, I'm making phone calls, text to other people, trying to get some type of solution. But all you're doing is leading people to those people, knowing what they're doing, what they're involved in. So you chance them not seeing their family because you wanted to be a dummy and you couldn't behave yourself. That is a decision. No one told you to make that phone call, make that text after you decide to threaten someone, after you decided to quote unquote expose some bad things. This is the way it works. This is how it works. 40,000 a head and people in prison. Most of you would get 40,000 in half a year and blow it all on whatever you want to blow it on. You think they're not going to find the worth of 40,000 a head in some type of facility giving back to the community because now your labor is behind bars where you belong. You guys didn't think that through. And the more I'm reading and the more I'm hearing, and after what I received from a source I know is law, you guys are, it's over. It's over. You, I told y'all at an earlier point to ride around, enjoy your chemicals, do whatever you wanted to do. That time's nearing because they have stuff that isn't public that is straight up filthy. It's filthy. And that's my thing. That how'd you know? How'd you think I knew people are putting their ankles behind their head, getting torn up, but playing tough? How'd you think I knew that? And what's crazy is it's in multiple situations. How you think I know that there was guys sharing each other's mouths, but then ready to attack a woman? How do you, are you serious? And we didn't know. We didn't know. Are you kidding me? And that's what goes back to what I told you a few days ago. I gave hints. I let people know. They're still talking, still doing things crazy, pulling in other people that have a career that can make something of themselves to try and say, yo, have my back. Dudes who can make a living for their family, holding them down because they want to make threats, be tough, and portray something they know they're not. Because if the dudes around you knew what you did, your respect would be zero. And that's the next step. The dudes around you need to know what you've done or you do if they don't. They need to know. Because here they're thinking you're someone else, but you're out here doing those crazy things. You're out here doing some other stuff. And they think you're thorough. They think they could count on you when all you're doing is lining people up for an incantation. Fact. We see it. And I believe that was specifically a potential situation we could have seen for the alleged incident with X. Seriously. From what I've heard, you can't tell me that that's not something that's a part of it. I'm just said he was introduced to certain people that weren't genuine. Make your mentors millionaires. Not people not getting it, not people doing fallacious activity. Think about this. If a millionaire is a multimillionaire legally, why would you want to try and take chances to a million when you could use your brain and get to it? It makes no sense. It's literally senseless. And that's the type of activity we're pulling in from certain people. Senseless activity, senseless behavior, senseless decisions, senseless choices. It's the problem we speak of. And because you lived your life that way, your jealousy, rage, whatever it is, you are now beginning to get exposed to people you never, ever want to be exposed to. The dirt you did in secret and lied about is going to come back out. And when it comes back out and you're being prosecuted for it, there's no hiding. You made the decision. There's a certain age you get to where your parents tell you, make better choices. And if you didn't make the choices you were supposed to make, there's no saving it. You made the decisions you made, and whoever you get involved is going down with you, period. All of you can share a sound. And when they're looking at your face every day, they're going to wonder why they interacted with you, to miss seeing their children grow up, to miss seeing the opportunity to further their living because of pride. The pride, it's me. Oh, why are you delusional? Straight up delusional. Delusion to the point where someone says, I don't like you. And they're like, they like me. They like me. That's how delusional you are. And because you played that card, you have to live with that card. Some of you are younger, some of you are older, but you have decisions to make. I don't know who never spoke to you about these things. You're looking for the quickest way to try and get what it is you want when you know in the end you're going to get what you deserve. whether it's on here, this earth or the next. And if you play with those incantations, let me give you a hint. The next life won't be pleasant for you. Won't be. Because you got it off the backs of others, the sacrifice of others, the due diligence of others, the loss of others, the destruction of others, harming others, seeing others hurt, taunting others, all off of your pride. And now you take the sucker's way out. You end as the very sucker you behaved and lived as. All those insecurities are going to come out, and it's going to be the only thing you can think of throughout your eternal torture. I promise. That's the problem. You didn't read the book. You just did what others told you. You just did what sounded good. And now that you've done that, you have certain spirits tied to you. Let me quickly go into this because you didn't read the book. Let me give you a hint. You have certain spirits tied to you. Whether you did the incantation or you behaved in this way, there are certain powers that are now following you, and your peace is at minuscule to none, but you still continue to try and be torturing others' lives because you find some sort of enjoyment in it. But what you get in the end is all of that times a million. It is very true. It is very true. Guys, I've read multiple books. You need to read it. It's all in metaphor and jest. It makes light of the outcome and puts hard emphasis on the present. That is nothing you want to play with. That is nothing you want to play with. I've already spoken on different situations that the mastermind needed to clean up. And to be honest, the only person at this time that can really get away with it is the mastermind. That's specifically wiping out everyone that was involved. Because when you do crimes like this and you got people speaking, the only way he's kicking himself is because there's no way to get to the suspects. That's the only way he'd be kicking himself. But you got to understand, even in then, that there's really something that's going on. There is behind the scenes. And part of the reason the dark outcomes and the bad things are going to happen is because of the incantations done without people being aware of what they really were. That is the key reasoning. I can promise and assure you that. You cannot get the devil's advantage without taking the devil's due. Period. You can't. That's the condition. That's the condition. You didn't read that? Guys, it's right before you. I can't believe people open up a book that is presumed to be magic and not read every bit of it and then understand, oh, I can't, and weigh their options. That blows my mind. Like, what were you really thinking? Did you think you could do that and you'd slide off without taking the due, without giving the very ownership of the reference and allegiance you paid? Think about it. Could I pledge allegiance to the flag and then go around down in America without someone saying something? I mean, just downing. Could I do that? And is there any way for me to turn my back on America without me leaving the country? Is there any way for you to pledge allegiance to the incantation and the words you said and still escape with the very soul you put in jeopardy? Your actions and your decisions will conclude your end. When you've made them, say you were making bad decisions 10 years ago. There's a difference when you're making bad decisions to harm others and then you're making better decisions to progress yourself. There's a clear difference. And most men cannot do that. And Dana, I'm not on here going to tell you the name of the book. I'm not going to speak volumes of it. They know what they did. They know what they read. I know exactly what you read. As a matter of fact, just to be safe, I read that book and another book you may be reading. So I know what I'm talking about. That's the only way I could speak on it because that's how my mind works. So I'm sorry you didn't read the whole thing, but if you've been doing it, I know someone would tell you to keep doing it, but because you can have a fighting chance of saving the spirit that you put at jeopardy, I'm saying cut it out and aspire for better, period. Don't make any more hasty decisions. It is not into your betterment of you doing so. It's not smart, and it's not something you want to do. I promise that. But that's the thing. I agree. But you're talking to a man that did research before I spoke on the topic. I've done that with every topic. It's not just a video with 21,000 views. It's not just a video with 88,000 views. I always looked into people before I spoke on it. So when I speak, 9 times out of 10, ain't no allegations unless there was a different person and not the person I was thinking of. There is no allegations. The audio and things I have, you've never heard. I know you haven't. Because when I heard it, I was just in a different mindset. Like, what? What is he doing? Literally. And where they came from, I can guarantee you none of you have those type of connections. You don't. I told you I work with super agents. They ain't never got to be known. They ain't ever got to show that they actually have some type of authority. I do ask it something from them. From them, I do ask something to prove themselves, but I don't make it public. I just let y'all know the real. And I understand what was going on. And I want to say this. I just wish that you guys paid attention before you did what you did. I wish you found it in your heart to look past what you want and see that everything was going to go how you wanted it to go by sticking with the breadwinner. Let me say something else you may not know. Did you know the breadwinner turned down many opportunities to do away with you to receive what they wanted? They turned down countless opportunities to do away with you to receive what they wanted. But when the opportunity came, you guys just jumped at it. Oh, I can't. You guys were foaming at the mouth. And he realized that. Rest his soul. He realized that. And it said it took him that long to realize the type of trash you actually were. But I can say this. That allegiance you paid, that debt you promised, where you placed your heart's desire, where you gave your everything to receive what it is you value, that didn't forget about you. And if you think that's going to have mercy on you at the end, you're wrong. There is no mercy when you play with that type of rhetoric. There is none. It is literally, you made this saying, you received what you wanted. This is the outcome you're going to have to take. And until you actually seek how to do that, because we always know how to counter any type of move going on. We know what the counter is for that. But I'm telling you, it is nothing easy, nothing nice. It will come at some price because you received what you asked for and you didn't do it normally. That's what you got to understand. You played with powers beyond your understanding, and it's nothing manly. It has no man, no woman. You played with this universal spirit. You made a choice of your master. I can break that down later, but it gets deeper. You made a choice of your master, and now because you mastered what your master taught you, you're in lieu of getting what it is that you gave your allegiance to, because your master controls it, and you didn't pick the right master, because the book tells you what it is you get for making your decision. It's crazy. It's crazy how people want to skip ahead to a victory, but don't want to know all the ins and outs of what they are actually getting themselves to pledge allegiance to get involved in. They're not understanding it. But they're going to say, oh, I know this person, know that person, until you're all sitting together in the same place with the same outcome because of the same choices. And yet you don't want nothing bad to happen to your children. No one you love, not your mommy, not your daddy, not the person you love. You want nothing bad to happen to them, but because of your choices, they're pulled into that. It's not just you speaking something, it's you taking on a spirit. You don't get it. When you mess with spiritual related things, you dance in a realm, in a world that you're not in yet. So you don't know the defense or manner of offense to take to dealing with this level of knowledge. You can't. You can read every book. All it's going to do is tell you the outcome. It's not even going to give you the nature of what it is you're receiving. You just see you got mammon. Oh, I got this. I got these keys. I got these. You're not thinking. And I speak like this because a lot of times right now, I see a lot of brothers, quote unquote, that are going into this mentality and you're not thinking. What's the thing? Let me ask you, what's the thing they joke on us the most? What do they joke about? A person, let's be real, not even brothers, anyone of color. What's the joke on you? You don't read. You don't read. That's the joke on you. Look at the subtle things they say about a person or they say about a culture in general. It's usually used to denote something that is related to an outcome of someone they've seen making certain decisions. In that very case, and what I'm talking about, that fits perfectly. You don't read. You just act on what worked for the moment, looking for the next moment. That's okay when you're doing it in a hard-working way because you're earning it. The blood, sweat, and tears. But when you're doing it in a fast-paced way, you can't gauge the outcome. This brand I have here was solidified from the bottom. Matter of fact, not far from where I'm at right now, about 5 minutes down the street, I remember first parking and just starting up my first video. And then it's not karma, it is judgment. Okay? There's a difference between karma and judgment. Judgment comes from a string of bad decisions that are usually over the lives of others, but you see nothing wrong with it. So you get your outcome. It's different. Karma is something totally different than judgment. You can't go around treating people like trash, harming people, getting over on people, forcing people, cursing people out, harassing people, torturing people, and you get nothing less. Period. I've been trying to tell guys that you know what? This is really disheartening too. You know, when you do these type of investigation in their life, they can treat someone anyway. Someone saying, I don't want you around. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to do this with you. I don't want to do, and they find that they have the right to force themselves upon someone, to force situations. You deserve your outcome. You can't bring anyone else down. You deserve it. And if you do, shame on you. You made these decisions to harm others, to treat others badly, to threaten, curse others out. Just curse God. That is your behavior. You never have to curse God blatantly if your behavior is cursing to his creation. You did not read the book. That's to animals too. Oh, doing stuff for dogs. Doing stuff. You don't read. You don't read. So you don't understand, and I get it. I fully get it. But at this point in time, you still have a decision to make. The conditional way or the unconditional way. You have to choose. It's not something I will to be. It's not because TheCzarr said it. It's what you understand when you read. Reading comprehension. How many of you failed at that? If I didn't say on a test, I didn't get nothing. Reading comprehension was what I got a perfect in because I read to comprehend. I don't read to do as I will. I don't read to do whatever I want to do at the discretion of others. Sadly, if you live yourself that way, if you live yourself that way, your outcome's set. You can be as sorry to the person. No, you need to make good with God because you violated his creation. And there's nothing you can do to turn those tables back. You've done it. And at that time you were doing it, you were prideful doing it. That very pride is going to be what took you to the fall. You don't think. You don't think. You're not thinking unless mama or daddy slaps you in the head and tells you to think. That's your downfall. And shame on them if they never taught you. You don't want nobody. Let me give you an example. You don't want nobody slapping up, choking your mama, but you want to choke somebody else's mom. You don't want nobody threatening your mom, but you want to threaten someone else's mom. That's going to get you all threatened. That's going to get you all wiped out. You don't realize that because you did not read the book. And what's the worst thing is if your judgment comes into life after. Now, you can argue with me, say it's subjective. If life comes after, okay. We're talking about what I read in the books that you shown. They all allude to a life after this. All of them. And you think you're not going to be paid back in full for what you did? And did you notice they both alluded to eternity? Let me ask someone. Someone tell me how long eternity is. Can anyone tell me how long is an eternity? Is there an end to it? In the word itself, eternity, is there an end to that? I've read the books you've read. I took my time going through them, and I can tell you, making those very incantations is inherently taking on an eternity. For one of your moves of harming someone, you risk an eternity of paying for it. So your outcome just isn't here on earth. When your eyes close, that's your outcome too. And if you made your incantations in a conditional way and see if he's playing with you, see if he pats you on the back and says, good job. The spirits you've taken on, they need to be released. This is a shout out. Release those spirits you've taken on. I'm telling you, release them. They have a duty too. And their duty is to make sure you get the outcome your incantation was set for. I promise you this. If you don't believe nothing else I said in this whole series, believe what I've told you here today. I'm telling you. I've read it over and over and over. You're looking at a guy that's read the books that I've read front to back multiple times because my reading comprehension need to be recertified. Got more coming to you tomorrow. I just want to talk to you. I just want to let you know they're not the same thing. Karma and judgment. Think about that. BJofficial.com. Subscribe to Instagram, Brandy J. Shop.